Welcome to another episode of Follow Me. We are your hosts, Worshipful Brother Wiley Foster, and I'm Worshipful Brother Wilmo. Brother Tyler, invite the guests into the lodge and leave the door open, and let's see what happens tonight on our last live episode for a little while.
Yes.
Tonight's episode is brought to you by
Anxiousness and anxiety. We are like those old commercials where we were standing at the doors yelling, open. So, again, welcome to another episode. As we know, tomorrow is June 12th. It's the big day. To me, it's just Friday.
But today's your Friday. Don't even say that.
Well, that's true. But welcome to everybody, and a big shout out to Worst Brother Tom Schmidt, who's back home again in Georgia due to the fact that Baha Mar is still closed, and we're not down there with him. But I'd like to say, welcome to everybody who still takes the time to come and be with us each time we do this live event. It does mean a lot to us to have you and your constant support. But, we got to get back moving, and we got to do some things. So we're going to start dropping these things down into recorded episodes, but they're going to become a little more eventful, I'm sure. With modern technology the way that it is, we're going to roll some stuff together while we're coming up the road and when we come out of lodges and things that we've learned. But what it should do for us going forward is if something happens in a lodge on a particular night, then that's going to be something we'll probably drop into an episode of things that we saw, whether it be good, bad, or indifferent.
Well, we're going to have some cameras in our cars, so we're going to record as we go down the road. We're going to be carrying cameras around once in a while. We're going to look like those folks from YouTube all the time carrying cameras around. We know what we can and cannot record, so we're good there. And
we also know that we're not going to give this spot up just because we get to go back to lodge.
No.
We feel that education is still the key, and if we can talk about important events and important things that transpire in our fraternity as we go back and start rebuilding ourselves and rebuilding our brand, there'll be things to share for generations to go back and look at, and we want to know where we were at this time. So this is a time capsule for us.
It is, and it's also going to be kind of cool for us to go to events like, let's say Grand Lodge and show, I hate to say behind the scenes stuff, but show some things that people don't normally see. People don't get to go because they're shut in or they're sick, or they can watch some of these videos that we put together where we show walking around in the hospitality room and all those different things.
Farmers
market before the session starts.
And how stressed out our Grand Secretary is right before the Grand Session, or, the nervousness that comes along from the Grand Lodge officers, and, even some of us who work behind the scenes and do some things there at Grand Lodge. It's a pretty stressful week.
Yeah.
Because it adds up to a week for us. It's not just a couple of days. So
well, and the cool thing is Wiley and I see a ton of potential behind this channel, not just in what we've already done, which for us, as we talked about before, has always been a huge outlet. I know without this that we probably would have gone crazy just talking to each other, even though we can spend hours talking. It's nice to have that interaction with an audience. It's nice to have the feedback we get. The phone calls after the shows are always great. So we've really enjoyed the time with our brethren virtually, and of course Wiley and I get to spend time together, which we always enjoy. So tonight's episode is about a word I've already said, and most of you have seen the graphic for tonight. It's potential. What does that mean?
What does that mean? We're going to try to walk through about living up to our potential and living our best Freemasonry. Because we want to live according to the precepts that were taught in our 3 degrees, and even the principles and the precepts that are taught in the appendant degrees as you take them, whether it be in the York Rite of Freemasonry or it's in the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry. the lessons learned in the several degrees that you take as a Freemason, if you know, your Blue Lights degrees are the most important. Those are your foundation stones. But what did you take from that in order to prepare yourself to live up to the potential of the promises you made while kneeling at the holy altar? You know, when you kneel at our altars, you're supposed to take on some serious responsibility, and to be able to live up to that, that's a lot of weight. And you know, potential by definition says having or showing the capacity to become or develop into something in the future. Well, the future's now. We've had 12 weeks to not go to lodge and get caught up in our the normal hustle and bustle of things we do. We should have had time for you, Knight Templar, you're going to know that, you know, what the room of reflection means to you. You should be back at re-examining who you are and what could you become in this fraternity. I found that, you know, as many years as I've been lecturing and giving short talks in lodges.
Long talks.
Yeah, well, yeah, nothing short about my talks, true. But what I've discovered is there are some viability to those talks. There are new things that I want to talk about. There's new things that I know other brethren want to give in a lodge that are going to be eye-opening experiences. That was the one thing that I didn't really like in our ruling from our Grandmaster, but he gave it to us. But I believe that now's the time to educate. While we can't do degrees and things of that nature, we need to have more education on more important topics other than just the ritual.
Right.
So that would allow our brethren to reach their potential and give them some nuggets to take back with them.
Now, I'm going to point out something you said just now, so no one beat you up in the comments here, but you said you didn't like part of the rulings. You know what? You don't have to like them.
But I follow him because he's the boss.
Exactly. And that's what we all have to remember. If we were all the same,
But
it'd be a boring world.
Let's be more specific what I didn't necessarily agree with, but that's not for me to disagree. Okay? I don't have to like it. But instead of having short meetings, I understand the premise, I understand the concept, but I want to be able to use that tool to be able to teach,
right,
instead of just go up there, open, and go home.
And I get that. But
the Grandmaster says we need to do it this way, that's what we do. But I that's the teacher in me in Freemasonry, that I want to be able to, every minute I can get as a platform to talk to brethren about who they should be and how they should act, then that's one more win for us as a whole.
Well, but I just wanted to point out to everyone that you don't have to agree with everything he said. However,
we got to follow it.
You promised that you would follow it. So just because you disagree with something or don't completely like something doesn't make it change at all.
And I want to tell you, I love him just as much today as I did 20 years ago when I first met him.
Right.
Those things will never change for me.
And we're not making an excuse here. I just want people to understand that. We don't want someone to walk away from here and say, where's Brother Wiley said. And
trust me, there's been, in my 23 years of being a Mason, there's been something in each individual Grand Master that he may have said something that I potentially didn't agree with, but he's the boss and we're going to follow what he says. And
I'd hate to be in his shoes right now.
Me too. Still don't want to be in his shoes.
So I just wanted to point that out because
absolutely. It's not a I'm going to defy the Grand Master and what he says. What it says is I just didn't agree because we could have used it for a different tool.
What you're saying is you're an individual and you don't have to agree with everything everyone says, and just because you don't agree doesn't mean you have to get mad or angry. So,
correct. Good point.
I'm just tying that back into what we've said in the last couple of episodes.
And what's going on in the world today too. So with that goes without saying. But to get back to the potential, we got to stop putting things off. The future is now. If we're going to be who we say we're going to be, then we need to be that. We need to be all that we promised we'd be. We don't need to be backbiting. We don't need to be slandering anybody. We have the opportunity to congregate again as Masons and as friends and brothers, we need to take that opportunity to figure out who each other is again,
Yeah.
to rediscover ourselves. You know, who says that you can't go into that meeting and, you know, everybody, you know, worship master says, hey, we're going to do this, we're going to recite this, or we're going to do this. What a better time to reacquaint yourself with the fraternity that's blessed you to be part of.
Well, and one of the things I would ask if I was master, and I'm not, past, but I would say, brother, what did you learn about yourselves or masonry during this last 3 months?
That's right. You know, how are we going to reach where we want to go as a group?
Yeah, how, you know, potential is that worth that you have within you that you have to work to get out of you. What have you done over these past 3 months to get some of that Freemasonry potential out of you? You know, Wiley and I both feel that we've reached another plateau with our potential by doing this, because this was hard for us to do at first. When you go back and watch our first few episodes, they're rough. We've talked about that. We've grown with this. We've learned a lot of things over the past 12 weeks that we didn't know by doing research from learned brethren. And it's definitely helped me grow.
Well, what it's helped me do is it allows me to learn and I would like to say relearn myself how to research. Research takes time and it takes effort. So when you're trying to reach your potential into things, it's about the effort. What kind of effort are you going to give to your lodge? Is it more important to you to disagree with what our authority tells us, or is it important to you to come back to lodge and be with your brethren? You know, it's about reaching that potential to be all we can as servants. You know, we have to be mentors, we have to be leaders. You know, I've read so much stuff in the last week or 10 days, 2 weeks, about, you know, what Masons should be doing now, what Masons need to be do here. You know, we tell people in our declaration of principles of what we will and won't do, and who we shall and shall not be. So I don't have an opinion. I've got an opinion on things that happen in the world, but sometimes I gotta hold back and I've got to show some restraint.
He's been doing that a lot.
Because when you're not living up to your potential as a human, when you're not being very human towards others, and just because we talk about it extensively here, just because I don't agree with you, now I'm automatically wrong, and you forever ostracize me to the land of Nod. Well, that's not the way it should be.
Well, and think about this: when you grow your potential, not only do you grow your potential, you grow someone who looks up to you. You grow their potential, and you grow your lodge's potential, because it's not that building sitting over there for us at 2521 2nd Street. It is the brethren in that, and when each one of us find our potential, we grow that lodge in a way that is hard to define.
Well, it goes back to what my grandparents used to tell me all the time. You know, it's never the house that turns it into a home. It's the people inside it is what makes it a home. The lodge is just a building.
Yeah.
It's just an edifice. We can hold lodge anywhere. We can gather 3 or more in a dispensation.
Correct.
And a charter. We can assemble, but it's the people. You know, you've heard me say this on, well, probably 25 episodes now, because I think that's where we are, 24, 25.
24.
We're in the people business. We've always been in the people business, and to live up to our potential is to be able to love one another in spite of one another.
Well, and one of your abilities, one of your potentials that you've actually grown really well over the last 10 years is your potential to grow others through your education.
Right.
You educating folks allows them to find something inside themselves, me included, that I didn't know was there. I didn't know I could sit in front of a group like this and talk about stuff like this and have my thoughts come out in a fashion where people understood them, because sometimes my thoughts come out like a train wreck. because I have
Well, mine too, because some nights you've seen us in here and I can't even get the words out.
You know, and my thing with this is we've got to stop, and I'm bad about this, procrastination. I want to put stuff off, and I've learned to quit putting things off because we have an episode that's due on Thursday. We don't have any notes on it. We don't have a topic. We got to get after it. So sometimes Thursday morning, he and I are on the phone together going, what are we going to talk about tonight? And sometimes it just comes to us. Other times we have to dig for it.
And then sometimes we don't have any notes at all when we do something because we both feel the same about that particular event. But, you know, we always talk about, you know, failing to plan is planning to fail. And that's always been a big pet peeve and something for me personally. I'm a planner kind of guy, you know, and
I'm a wing it kind of guy.
Yeah, and sometimes it drives me absolutely crazy because, you know, Will is so much more talented in other aspects than I am, and I can go from a blank screen to 5 pages of notes in a matter of minutes with him. But for me, I have to really think about it. And
well, you deep dive.
Well, and my thing too is I have to. With the things for me personally is I have to be able to reel in the passion, you know, circumscribe it.
Oh yeah.
You know, because if I'm talking to everyone, yeah, I can still be passionate about it, but maybe not to the length and depths that I've been known for myself that I see now that I didn't want to see. Well, but that's my personal growth.
It is, and one of the things that's helped with your personal growth is doing this too, because it's been a challenge, and I've had to work, and some of you haven't seen behind the scenes. Sometimes I'll hit him on the leg or shake my finger down here below the desk where you can't see it. I've got to reel him in because you've seen him go down those paths. I know some of you that have been here for every episode have seen him.
But that's the beauty of it.
And it's his potential because he's so passionate about things. He has a passion level that I've never seen in anyone that I've met prior to him, that he wants to just, I guess, burn it into your brain so that you understand it. But here we've had to rein that back because we have folks that aren't Masons, we have the wives, we have kids possibly watching. So we have to think about those things as we go through this. And that's been a growth, a real big growth for the two of us. I've learned to talk more.
Right.
I still talk with my hands a lot, but I think that interaction is good. One of the things I got to break him from is looking at the camera.
Yeah, I have a big problem with that because I like to look someone in the eye when I speak, and that brings me to one of those things we talked about. You and I have talked about it in depth about our reattending and trying to be our best person. Well, most of us, probably every person on this show tonight, when you meet someone, you know, my parents, my grandparents have taught me when you meet someone, you look them in the eye and you shake their hand and you really tell them how you feel, that you're glad to see them or it's a pleasure to meet you. Now, you know, we might have to go to an elbow dap or, you know, dapping or something of that nature. But for your entire lifetime to this point, this is how you were taught to meet and greet a human being. Right. So, you know, I don't want to lose that personal touch. So, you know, I've been trying to go through my brain, how's this going to work? And, you know, how can I reach out to people, you know, because the fear factor is still among us. And, you know, even all of us who, whether we want to admit it or not, there is some level of fear involved with the ability to go back to lodge. But rising above fear helps you achieve the attention or the potential that you may have in yourself. But you got to be able to goal set.
Are you fulfilling all those goals and dreams?
Yeah, and that's the thing is if you're goal setting and you're trying to say, okay, I want to be this by this time or this, and it could be some long time frame or some long session, but you need to set some personal growth goals for yourself with our fraternity and with your life. I mean, when you run out of goals, where are you going?
Exactly. It's like pointing a car, and sometimes it's fun to get in the car and drive no particular direction, but you can do that once or twice with your life, but you can't do it a lot. And yes, Randy, I will miss the handshake and hugs. Every one of us will. And I know that there will be folks that still want to do it. But remember this, if you're a handshaker or a hugger, don't force that on someone who doesn't feel comfortable with that. You know, Wiley and I shake each other's hands and we hug each other because we've been around each other for the last 3 months plus. We didn't stop. Our family is not sick. His family's not sick. If that happened, we wouldn't be sitting in the same room together.
Correct.
But bear in mind that if I go up to shake someone's hand and they just don't want to do it, whether that's in a lodge, which we're not supposed to do, according to the rulings,
Right.
but even someone on the streets that you know, take that into consideration. Remember that. And I know that kind of gets off the line of potential, but you make yourself a bigger person.
No, potential is following the rules, man.
Well, it's following the rules, but it's also, it makes yourself grow because you realize that you shouldn't force your views on someone else.
Well, and you should also, in part of your growth too, is understand that you become, as your potential starts becoming elevated and you're getting closer to meeting it and trying to achieve being better, as we proclaim that we do.
That perfect Ashley.
Yes. But as we do that, we become more self-aware and we become more aware of our surroundings and more courteous to others. And I'm telling you, you know, I walk up to someone, I want to shake their hand, I hug their neck, because that's who I am as a person.
Hey, quit checking your phone.
I can't help it.
Remember when you start back to lodge, when you're in lodge, we all need to remember, put them down unless you need them.
Well, I needed it. This was important.
Well, I get that, but I'm pointing that out as something we've talked about.
I'm on call to all my brothers, in case you don't know it. I've been on call since last Friday.
Well, it's just those things so that we get the most out of lodge we can. We got to put those electronic leashes away, but you know, folks, realize your potential and be good at it.
And be all you can be.
Oh, I've already been in the Army.
The old Army, be all you can be. But it's a good statement. You know, if you're gonna belong to something, you're gonna be part of anything. Doesn't matter. If you're gonna be a good husband, be all you can be as a husband. If you're gonna be a mentor to someone, be all you can be at that. Rise above the pettiness that's in the world. Rise above the pettiness that we have in our fraternity. Be better than that.
Find your place.
Always got to find your niche. That's right.
Everyone has a place in our fraternity. Everyone. Whether that's a leader.
Wait a minute. Is it niche or niche?
It's niche.
It's niche. See, there we go. There we go again.
But find your place, because once you find your spot in the fraternity, whether that be someone helping to cook or someone helping to clean the lodge or an officer in your lodge, when you find that place where you're happy within masonry, whether it be in your blue lodge or whether it be in one of the appendant bodies, always remember your blue lodge. But if it's be the best you can be in that place that makes you the happiest. But always remember that you're not there just to make yourself happy. You're there to help make your brethren happy.
That's right. You know,
and make our world a better place.
We do a good job of saying the words, you know, peace and harmony, strength of our institution, period. Mm-hmm. We do a good job of saying the words. We need to live up to those words. We need to reach the potential. You know, instead of when you go back to lodge and you're listening to an opening, which will be a little different than traditionally used to. You know, I hate the word traditions. Wait, there's
a button up there somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, I learned a lesson one time when one of my close friends was Grand High Priest of the Grand Chapter, wore a little red button with a circle on it, and it said the way we've always done it. Well, the way we've always done it is not going to be that way now. So now we have to really revisit and rise again like the phoenix coming out of the ash. So when we look at that and we're in lodge again, some of us, think about the words in the opening and what each person is there to do.
Well, and when we do that, do one of the things that I've seen that makes it, to me, it makes it so beautiful, and it makes it mean so much more. Slow down on your openings and closings.
Absolutely. Love what you're doing. Take
Each
your time.
one of those words have a meaning. Say them with the meaning that they were intended, and you will change how you feel about masonry. And you know, there's one thing that you need to do in masonry that I've got a 12-year-old son. I've been explaining this to him because he's getting to that age where he starts to think about what other people think. You know, if Wiley and I worried about what other people thought, well, we know he doesn't. A lot of you learn I don't too much. I still do on occasion. Don't worry about what others think. To a point. Don't make someone mad intentionally.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't make someone feel bad intentionally. But don't worry, if you want to make yourself better, don't worry about, well, this guy's going to think I'm brown nosing because I want to get to know a Grand Lodge officer better because he's a mentor to me. Or, you know, the Worshipful Master needs some help, so I'm going to go help. Well, this brother thinks I'm just doing it to try to get favor. Don't worry about those things because they keep you from reaching the point you want to reach, your potential, or a plateau of your potential.
And another thing too, Worship Brother Will, is we have to put the past behind us.
Absolutely.
You know,
this last 3 months, we got to put behind us.
I have not one time have you heard me say we need to erase our past or erase our history. We need to embrace who we are as Masons, where we come from in the beginning to where we are now. But we also need to put the past in behind us. Last episode I talked about now's the perfect time to write a new chapter, a new book. You know, what is Masonic history going to say about you as the member? You know, what I hope that it says about me is that I hope that this brother gave his all to our fraternity because he loved it, not from anything that would come from it other than the appreciation of his brethren.
You know, when we went back to the 1918 epidemic and read in the old Grand Lodge books, the Proceedings of the Grand Lodge, some of the stuff that happened there. It's in an episode called Epidemic. Mm-hmm. What are they going to read in 2118 or 2120 about what Masons did today? Did we run scared? Were we freaking out? Were we going crazy? Or were we just sitting on our butts doing nothing? You know, history can go both ways. Mm-hmm. Did you do something to impact someone? Even if it's not written on a page, do something that impacts someone.
Yes.
You know, and a lot of you have reached out to the older members in your lodges, to the older members in your community, in your neighborhoods, your towns, you know, the farm next door to you, depending on where you live, and have actually helped someone. Brother, those may not get written in the annals of history, but always know that you did something that made you reach more of your potential, whether you know it or not. You know, and we've got to be mindful of others and the words we use. That's especially true as a Mason.
Yes, and I say that, or agree,
I said that.
You said it, but I'm thinking the same words. Unfortunately for me, is I was thinking the same exact thing and how to articulate that into what I wanted to get across.
Absolutely.
You cannot.
Worship Brother Dacus, do something with no expectation of anything in return.
You do not want, as a Mason, and you trying to reach your potential, you cannot impact others with a negative attitude.
No. Because your negative attitude rubs off on them.
Correct. Understand, we've said it in here since day one, you are someone's mentor, whether you like it or you don't. Your actions, your words, how you carry yourself is being monitored and watched by someone and everyone. I know that sounds like a double phrase, but someone you don't know and everyone you do know.
Well, and someone you don't know or don't realize you're their mentor, and they haven't told you. That's why we've said it before, we'll say it again. Let your mentors know who they are. Because one, that'll help them realize they're being watched. Not to scare them, but that also helps them reach more of their potential.
And you and I both know that the tongue is sharper than the sword. Things you say to someone that can cut them absolutely to their heart and change their entire mindset on what we do and what we're supposed to be doing. So, in order for us to reach our potential, we've covered some great topics. Number one, we have to be mindful of others.
Mm-hmm.
We have to be mindful of the words we use. Words are hurtful. Words can be hurtful.
Vocal and written.
Correct.
Because remember, when you write something down, your way of saying it, your inflection, your tone does not come across in those words.
Because we talked about it last episode. What you're thinking and what you speak is in two different levels. And when you speak, your sincerity and your passion comes out. When you write things down, and if you say you add an exclamation point in something or you phrase something a certain way, now you're hateful. So, brother, we're not telling you how to do your business. We're just telling you to exercise your ability to grow yourself in the fraternity and reach your potential.
And one of the things I want to caution everyone against is when we go back to lodge, don't sit and spend your meeting talking about, I wish it was this way, or I wish it was that way, I wish this hadn't been put in place, or I wish that hadn't been put in place. Use your time wisely, because remember, you haven't seen these brethren in 3 months, face to face, here in Georgia. When we get back together again, let's spend that time, because we're only afforded, if you meet twice a month, you're only afforded 11 hours.
Maximum.
Together. If you meet once a month, it's 5.5. And those of you who know what I'm talking about understand where I come up with those numbers. But don't use it as a bitch session.
Fact. That's a good fact right there.
Don't. Because one, it'll make everyone unhappy. Those that want to come there and enjoy themselves and get something out of the night spending with their brethren will be disappointed.
Brethren, we make our own future.
Well, so, Worship Brother Forrester, what keeps holding you back from achieving your potential?
Myself.
This is a question I can pose to everyone in the audience.
I would like to tend to believe in my life and the way that I'm projecting myself to others is, the only thing that gets in my way is me. Sometimes I trip over myself a lot, but as far as trying to reach my potential, I don't really know how far that goes, man. I know that I'm trying to be better than I was yesterday. I'm trying to be better than I was this morning. I'm trying to find all these silver linings in these black clouds that keep showing up every single day.
Let me rephrase the question. Where do you want to be in Freemasonry in 5 years?
I wish I could stand on the top of a mountaintop and scream how much I love this fraternity to anybody. I think in 5 years for myself, personally, just personally now,
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm asking.
I would like to be able to have things that I have printed, that I have written, and that I have been able to speak on and to be able to lecture more. Those are things that I want to do in my career. I want to take what has been written beforehand and revisit and look at and research and tear it apart and put it back together in today's terminology, in today's language where people can understand. Because a lot of things in Freemasonry, the way it's written is hard to understand. And give it from my perspective, a person who just loves unconditionally, man. I just love the fraternity. I love what it's done for me in my life. You know my personal story of why I do what I do in Freemasonry. I told everyone in a big meeting one time that I will spend the rest of my life trying to pay it back for saving mine. All I can say is in my potential, I wished I could see the potential in myself that I know others have said they see in me. And I wished I could see it, but I don't look at things for that
He won't watch. So Wiley will not go back and watch an episode. When I edit an episode for the ones that we recorded, Wiley will not go back and watch them. He just can't do that. It's one of his shortcomings.
Because, well, not only that, I got a face for radio, and I don't even want to see myself on TV. So, but not other than that is because then I go back and critique myself,
Right.
and I would rather hear the critique come from the others, because what I think for myself, I'm already going to critique that as soon as we're done. But
And we do.
But what I would rather hear is people who are my mentors. If I open my mouth and stuck my foot in my mouth, they're going to tell me.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to tell me. So why should I go back and beat myself up when I know y'all going to do it for me?
Well,
I mean, and I say that jokingly because that's jokingly how it happens. But
well, in 5 years, one of the things I'd like to do, and this is a goal I've actually set for myself, and I'd like to do it with you, and I haven't told you about this yet, so you're learning about this. You're learning about this too. I would like for the two of us to do a TED Talk on masonry.
That's a good idea. I like that idea.
You know, it's something we'd have to work up and practice and rehearse, but I would like to see in 5 years, by 2025, Wiley and I do a TED Talk on masonry.
All I know is no matter what it is, as long as we can influence and impact others and make a difference in how someone may view us as a fraternity, how the members may view the fraternity in itself. What I want to do within the next 5 years is try to teach members how to love one another more. That's the most important thing for me.
Well, and that's one of the keys tonight. Influence and impact others.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what happens to me personally. You know, if I take the ridicule or I take the haymakers that come from being able to speak out on some things, I can take that part.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you thought enough of me to come at me in a negative manner, then I was on your mind to start with.
Living here rent free.
So if I'm already in your mind rent free, I got you where I want you. And I say that not being vindictive. It's just now you're thinking, which is something that we need to do more as Masons in order to reach our potential and reach who we are. We've got to take out the I call it petty garbage and go back to doing what we do. We're a fraternity built on love and respect. We respect authority and we love one another.
Well, and I think as a goal of Freemasonry, and this is kind of a goal for everyone I think we should reach for. It's always been a goal of mine, and I know it's a goal of yours, is we need to make the world respect and love our fraternity more than it does. And so I know we've said a lot tonight. Brother, always think about your potential. Always think about what you're going to do when you start back to lodge here in Georgia. Always think about who you affect, how you affect them, and how it's going to affect you. Please don't be negative. Please be positive. Please love one another. Why don't you hit us with our first quote?
So our first quote comes from Sun Tzu. Victory comes from finding opportunities in problems.
Well, we found an opportunity in this problem, did we not?
We did, and we got a problem. We've had a problem for 90 days. We haven't been able to go to lodge. Now we figure we'd give a little education, do a few things. But the one thing that we have tried to promote based on our quote is when all these brethren are calling us, as well as all of you that I see on our list tonight, I hope that you shared the same thing that Will and I have. Brethren, this is all new to us. It's never happened to us as a fraternity in this magnitude, or let's put it this way, it's not recorded that it's happened in this magnitude. And in the platforms that we have now to reach our brethren, we're not out of touch unless you choose to be out of touch.
Correct. You know, potential is a priceless treasure.
Absolutely.
Like gold. All of us have gold hidden within, but we have to dig to get it out. Joyce Mayer. So remember to dig. You know, sometimes you may not like what you find when you get through those first few layers. It's just like when we talked about the imperfect and perfect ashlar. We always got to chip away. And when you chip away at those layers, you're going to find your potential in there. Make it shine.
Do the next one.
Sure. To uncover your, well, this was said by Pablo Street.
Okay.
To uncover your true potential, you must first find your own limits. And then you have to have the courage to blow past them.
Well, this was by Benjamin Franklin.
No.
Yeah, Ben. To succeed, jump as quickly at opportunities as you do at conclusions.
Fact.
Act.
Well, our last quote for tonight comes from Tim Fargo. Your friends will believe in your potential. Trust me, he believes in my potential even though I don't see it sometimes. Your enemies will make you live up to it.
Think about that. Now that's pretty deep. That's pretty massive right there. Your friends and your family, your loved ones, they believe in you. Your mentors believe in you.
Unconditionally.
No matter what. But the people who are against you and against your success, they're gonna make you own it every single day. And that's the cool part of being in the position I feel that I'm in. Because I know who those naysayers are. I know who you are. You know how I know who you are? Because I listen. I pay attention. And I try to, even though you don't agree with me, I still include you because you're my brother. And that's what I want you to be. But they're gonna hold my feet to the fire every day to make it. All right, big boy, back it up. If you're gonna say this crap, you better back it up. So,
well, and one of the things too to remember in that is listening. Some of us need to work on our potential for listening.
Yeah, and if we need to invest in hearing aids, I'm sure we can pass a hat.
Well, I'm not talking about that kind of listening. Listen to your brethren, and don't just when someone says something. There's those people. Well, there's those people. Well, I have a story about this. Well, I have a better story about this. Listen. Some of you need to work on that potential. I know I've had to work on it in the past. So, all of you, thank you for spending your time with us again this week. Please remember to hit that like, subscribe, and that bell button over there.
Yeah, wherever it's at.
So that you can see us next time, even if it's a recorded episode. Invite your friends, your brothers, your family members to join us because we want to make this open so that more people understand Freemasonry. This isn't just for the brethren.
Nope.
Because most of you are married, or most of you have kids or grandkids. They're all in it with you. Fact. So, our next show will be a recorded show. It's going to be a fun one. Don't forget about your homework assignment. I got to put that plug in there. I put a homework assignment on all of you last week. For those that weren't here, when you go to a lodge, take some pictures inside the lodge with the brethren. We know they can't group up. That's not a good picture. But take a picture, send it to us, and we'll include it in our next upcoming episodes.
Remember we're getting out of we're having the ability to be able to commingle again after this weekend. Some are starting earlier than others, but to me, I'm always, if something comes out on Friday, it's not good until Monday, but that's me.
Works where the coffee won't be under house arrest anymore.
Yeah, he'll get his monitor off, his ankle bracelet. But as you continue to commingle back with your brethren and reintroduce yourself to them, be mindful and respectful of others. Remember, our fraternity has an average age of close to 65 years of age. If your worshipful master asks you to wear a mask, wear a mask. I mean, he's doing that out of respect for all the members, not just himself. Be mindful of others, be respectful of others. Most of all, when you see your brethren again, remember we said in several episodes ago, tell your brethren you love them, show them, be respectful, enjoy each other's company. I know that we want to have shorter meetings, but don't be in a hurry.
Right. I know we're gonna have the recorded episodes. We'll be at lodge visits. Please still join us. We'll probably be still putting the episodes out on Tuesdays and Thursdays, but we'll put them out earlier in the day so people have a chance to watch them before they go to lodge or during their day. You can always go back and watch any episode at any time. So we're still trying to figure out when we're going to be able to have live shows and when we're not, because a lot of things are going to have to transpire over the next few weeks as we get started at the lodge, as we get things rolling again. But
it might be one of those things like we do in some of these invitation-only groups we belong to. You know, it might be the 5th Thursday or the 7th Sunday. I don't know. We're going to try to figure it out. But
we'll let you know. Our plan is when we know we're going to be able to do a live episode to let you know in advance as far as possible. We're hoping no less than 2 or 3 days, more like a week, because we should be able to set up our schedules as we start going back to lodges and stuff. Brethren, as always, we love you, ladies, children, grandparents, grandchildren, all the human race that's watching us. We love you. We hope to see you all soon.
That's right.
Any final words?
Nothing from me.
Be excellent to each other.
Good night.
Good night.